This is Gio Galvano, and you're checking out the 3 Count Podcast.
When in it, an unbelievable weight that you might hate, but you can't even.
During high class, we find that drag ball that.
Now entering the ring.
Welcome everybody to another great edition of the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Entering the Ring. I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, and I'm the one that leads you on these expeditions. I'm that guy. I'm the guy. I'm leading you up the peak. Okay, we're going to the summit of Mount Everest. That's what I do here on this podcast. But it's not about me. It's about who's entering the ring. So now entering the ring, this man can be found at Invictus. You can find this man at Northeast Wrestling, House of Hardcore, and in fact, he's actually done tapings at the Great Impact Wrestling. He's been in the zone, we know. And you guys can see him right here on the screen. Give it up for my man, Gio Galvano.
Red Dog, thanks for that awesome intro, brother. It's great to be here on the 3 Count Podcast. This is awesome.
I'm mad excited that you're here.
Great, dude. Yeah, bro. And also, you got to throw Global Syndicate Wrestling on that list.
Yeah, that's right. GSW.
Yeah.
Who, it's funny though, because as I'm learning more about the indie scene and doing research on everybody and just still picking it up, GSW is low key, just making no waves all the way up.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're picking up steam. So.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a lot of great talent that comes through there and wrestles.
Absolutely, Red Dog. Yeah, no, the cards that we've put out have been stacked, and it's good wrestling that started during. This is a promotion just like Invictus, which you mentioned earlier, started during the pandemic. So for these people to come under the radar and make waves on the indie scene over here in the Northeast, it's a testament to how hard everyone's been working, and yeah, to do it in the midst of a pandemic, it's been cool.
Yeah. I mean, so I think when this interview comes out, I think the announcements already been made that Alexander Hammerstone is going to be on the show. And it's just like you said, man, it's just crazy because in the Northeast, even between New Jersey to Maryland, just the amount of wrestling that there is that just goes on left, right, and center. And then you're always trying to keep up with new names and trying to keep up with this guy who's doing this and that guy who's doing that. And this guy's coming to this promotion. And you're like, oh my God, there's just so much going on.
Yeah, it's a hotbed. The Northeast definitely is a hotbed. And I thought I wasn't the best before I got into the business. I wasn't the best at knowing everyone's names and knowing every promotion. And I thought it would get much better once I was in the business. But I think once I got in the business, Red Dog, I realized how much is out there. Wow, it's a bigger world than I thought.
Yeah, because I know for me, even myself, right? I was a kid that grew up with WCW and WWE, WWF, and then WWE, and then Impact. Well, TNA was coming along on the Monday Night Wars too and stuff. So I knew a lot of different promotions, but I didn't know about ECW until after WWE had bought them. So then I had to go back and rewatch all the stuff, and then I found out about the Dudley Boys, and then I became a huge Tommy Dreamer fan, and then obviously the names were Roland, Sandman, New Jack, and then you learn about the stuff that New Jack had done, and I was like, oh, and then I found out that my favorite wrestler of all time, Rey Mysterio, was in ECW for a hot minute, and I was like, oh, this is great, and I fell in love with ECW, and then moving on up, you're just you jump into the pool, like you said, and you think you're well, I know some of these promotions, and you find out there's a whole underground scene. You're there's something for everybody here.
Oh yeah, it really is. It's the industry. It's the business that there's so many niches and so many different flavors that anyone could find something that they like.
Yeah, I was amazed because House of Hardcore and House of Glory, right? And then you find out some of these guys that there's old style wrestling, which I just found out about recently, where dudes act like characters from the 1920s and they have wrestling matches. Didn't know that was a thing. Now that's something I need. I was this is great.
So much variety. Great. The variety is great.
Yeah, and then I'm just waiting for that one time where we get a Real Housewives or Real Husbands of whatever wrestling promotion that I'm gonna be you know what, my wife and I are going because she's a huge fan of these types of shows.
That's smart. Just combine them a little bit to drag both those both those audiences in. I like that.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, man. We gotta start this off. Like, who is Gio Galvano?
Well, I'm a first generation Italian American, and I got two passions in my life. Well, actually, three passions. Number one being people. I love people. Been close, tight with my family all my life, and I love people, man. I've worked with people, work with kids. I'm big. I train soccer. I coach kids in soccer. I do all that. So I tell people all the time, I'm a kid in a man's body, and the kid in me has always had the dream of becoming a professional wrestler, and the kid in me also had the dream of becoming a pro soccer player, and I got to chase both those dreams, live both those dreams, and so those are my passions in life, man. People, wrestling, and soccer. That's Gio Galvano in a nutshell.
Yeah, we talked about we met in at Invictus, and we talked about that. Like, it was the Italian football, right? Where you were?
Like talking about soccer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah. The calcio, as we say in Italian. It's that was my I got to go there. I got to go to Italy for a year after high school. I got a few pro games under my belt, and it was a great experience. But yeah, all my life, man, it's just I was obsessed with the sport, and then when I was a kid, when I was 8 years old, that's when I started getting into wrestling, and I became obsessed with wrestling. So those two things, man, they really captivated me.
Yeah, my wife was asking me the other day. She's like, if there was a sport that you could have gotten better in while you were in high school or even in junior high, like what sport would that have been? And I was like, soccer, hands down. I was like, as much as I love playing American football, I
Mhm.
was like, and I love wrestling. Like, soccer is like the next great sport. Like, it's the beautiful game, and it was something that
There you
I got
go.
drawn into because of Brazil. Like, I was a big Ronaldo fan, and then when Rolandinho came
Oh,
along, and then obviously like I pay attention to Hulk and Neymar and all those guys, and so like I
wow.
definitely,
I know that, man. We didn't get to talking about that when we met at Invictus a few weeks ago. But you
well, we were
got to
so focused on the mission.
yeah, it's true. It was big day, big match day.
Mhm.
But that's awesome, bro. So you were a big Brazilian Ronaldo fan.
Yeah, yeah, right. And
Oh,
then, obviously he had his thyroid issue, and then he became like big Ronaldo. But like Ronaldo still had like mad skills. Like, I love
yeah.
Ronaldo.
It
And then
didn't
like,
matter. Like that's the thing. He got the knee injuries. He put on some weight. People started getting on his back. Oh, he's not as quick. He's not as fast as he used to be. That man in the 2002 World Cup, Red Dog, he scored 8 goals in the World Cup. No one has done that since him. So, like, whatever people want to say, they can say, but he's one of the best players ever.
you bring up the 2002 World Cup. That's a sore subject for me.
Uh-oh.
Because I was a junior going into my senior year of high school, and I was up every morning at like 4 a.m. to watch the U.S. play. And
Wow, man. You
yeah,
wow, because
I
it was
was,
yeah, it was in Korea and Japan. So that time zone, that's right. For us, it was like four in the morning.
yeah, I was dedicated
Yeah.
to the game, and they played Germany,
Yeah.
and it was like the last second shot where I forget who the German player was, but the
Balak.
ball bounced off his hand, but it wasn't a hand ball. It was just that his hand just was like drooped down, and it bounced and it ricocheted and it went into the goal. And we ended up getting a kid from Germany as a foreign exchange student, and I just let this kid have it. I was so mad at him, and he had nothing to do with it. He was just like, he's like, it was a good game. I was like, nah, y'all cheated, and it's payback for World War II. That's what we got from you. And like, I was just in his face,
You're getting it. Well, guess what? Your Brazilian Ronaldo took care of them in the final.
right?
That's for sure. What US that US team, man? That's the best US team we've seen in a while.
Oh yeah,
We haven't seen a US team match that 2002 team with Donovan, Clint Mathis, Tim Howard, Claudio Reyna. There's so many guys in that USA team. They were and they Portugal that tournament. That was
right.
epic. That
Yeah,
was
and
epic,
like
dude.
just,
Brian McBride. Oh, such a great team.
and it was just like it just reminded me so much of like the US hockey team from like the 80s, where
Mhm.
like they'd always be down, but they're just like always in the hunt, and then they just would slowly climb back into things, and like things would turn out. And it's so weird to see that, like, to see that soccer never really took off like in the US, you know, and like it's building, it's getting there, but
It is.
the skill level is not like on par with like anybody around the world. You know what I mean? Like we're still one of the top rated countries playing, but it doesn't feel like that when you look
Well,
around.
yeah, I wouldn't say top rated country because we haven't been in the past. We didn't even qualify for last World Cup.
Right.
But the talent's in this country. It's just it's who's getting picked up, who's getting noticed. That's where the issue is. The system. We can go into a whole other conversation about that, but like there's I've played in the systems growing up in this country, and it's like there's so much talent, but some guys don't get through the ranks. It's different with the college sports being a factor in other countries. I know there's no college sports, no high school sports. It's like you join the club, you grow in the academy, and you move on.
Right.
So it's like there's this identity crisis, I think, because a lot of American coaches want to do the European way, but then there's the old American way that honestly, man, that old American way of going through high school ball, going through college, that 2002 team, for example, most of those guys went that route. And now we have a new system where it's like all these clubs instead. And it's like the level, like you said, man, it doesn't feel like USA has raised its game since then. It doesn't feel like it. But the popularity of the sport definitely has grown in this country, no doubt about it.
Oh yeah. Especially like here on the East Coast, you can feel it, and I know in the Midwest you can
Yeah.
feel it as well. Like in places like in Colorado with the Rapids, as well as you get into like obviously like Utah, because like just tons and tons of club teams that are always there. So like you're right, like
Yeah.
the expansion of the leagues is growing and the fan base is growing. I just want to see like the talent level go up, because
I
we can
get
talk about
that.
the women's side. The women's side is on point. Like
Crazy.
always have talent. They're always loaded. It feels like not. I know this is a wrestling podcast, but obviously we're talking about another love of ours.
I know we're going off here.
Yeah, but it feels like the women's soccer team is equivalent to like like the Duke Blue Devil teams that always have like talent reload, or like
Yeah,
UConn women basketball. Like they just always have talent that's just like always hitting on all cylinders,
absolutely.
and
They
it's
step on the field and you're like, oh snap, they might blow through the opposition today. Like every game could be a blowout for them, dude. It's
every
crazy.
game.
So yeah. Anyway, let's get back to wrestling because I know a lot
Yeah.
of listeners, this is like a foreign language to them.
Yeah, everybody's gonna be like, "What?" No, no. So what? Okay, so what brought you into the business of wrestling, though?
So it's an interesting story, and it, a lot of people they get into wrestling and then they'll go out and they'll buy the products and the video games and the t-shirts and all that and the action figures. But me, my brothers, we did it reverse. We bought a video game first. We bought WWF SmackDown Just Bring It. I was 8 years old. We rented it actually. We rented it from a video store
Mm.
and we brought it home. We started playing it. We fell in love with the game. It was a great game. And then we're flipping through the channels that week on TV and we go through SmackDown and we're like, oh my God, it's the Big Show. It's Kurt Angle. Like these are all the guys from the game. And so we were hooked. And that's how it all began. I was 8 years old.
Dang, that's awesome, though. That's awesome that it was a video game that you guys were like, "I'm just good. Let's just try this game out, see what happens," and then
Yeah,
the world
exactly.
opens up.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. Big world opened up for me.
So that's
Yeah.
like that's like probably like the most unique story I've heard, was just based off a video game, which is cool because that's that's why WWE continues to put out, like, you know, they get 2K or they get somebody else like Yuki to like put out the games, because obviously they keep drawing the interest and they build the fan base up,
Yeah.
and then, you know, we'll see if people try to stick in it. But
It-
aside from playing all the video games, right?
It's well on that note, real quick though, it's great because a lot of kids nowadays, like I said earlier, I work with kids, like they're watching YouTube videos, they're watching streamers, video game streamers, content creators, and that's a window that a lot of kids can get into wrestling now. That's a good window, and I think WWE's got to continue to build new fans with kids, not just relying on the old fans.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because like my daughter is like a massive wrestling fan now. And like she even has a top five, right? And her favorite wrestler of like right now is Sasha Banks. But what's interesting, and she's actually said this on the show before, her second favorite wrestler is Basic Becca from Limitless Wrestling up in Maine. And then after that, it's like Bailey and Ronda Rousey, and then
Ah,
Kairi Sane and Asuka and Io Shirai. So I've seen like the list like change, but it was interesting to see that a person from the indie scene is her second favorite all time wrestler. So I was,
how old is she? Your daughter?
She's 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got her into wrestling. To be real, I got her into wrestling when she was an infant. Um, and what's funny is like she used to cry like when certain songs were coming, but anytime Alberto Del Rio like that song started, like tears dried up and she was like all smiles, and I was like, my daughter's a heel, man. Like this is not
Oh
good.
man, crazy.
Yeah,
That's awesome, dude.
it
God
was
bless, man. Get the mini wrestling fanatic right there. That's beautiful.
right. And then now she's like, I want to get in a ring. I want to learn how to bump. She's like, she already does handstand bumps and she does them well. And I'm just like, all right, well, I can't have you bumping in the ring because you're too young. As I need you to get a little older and then we'll talk about it. But yeah,
Wow.
it's interesting to see like the little gleam in her eye, like
Yeah.
because artistically it challenges her. She developed her own character, this like wolf character that she like loves. But she got inspired by Japanese anime, and she's like, I'm a kune. Is this like wolf type creature, and whenever I beat people, I'm just gonna howl. And I'm like, cool.
There it is. There it is.
Yeah.
That's
So I'm
amazing.
like, I'm never gonna pull it away from her. I was like, yeah, just keep building on it. She like has ears and stuff. Like she comes with a headband, she has ears, she has a tail, she like talks smack. Like
You
it's
have her own taunts.
yeah, she has her own
Yeah.
taunt.
Yeah.
Like she's doing it all. I'm like, okay. I was like, I see the world building that you're doing with this character. I
Yeah.
was like, I'm not gonna turn you away from it. I was like, now we just got to get you a move set and you can talk some trash.
Yeah, right. That's cool, dude. I mean, it's cool to hear a firsthand account of how, especially like with women nowadays, how they're featured as marquee figures for a lot of wrestling promotions. It's how it's going to inspire the next generation.
Yeah, and I continually like introduce her to like all new female wrestlers, right? So like with this show, especially, I love like having female talent on because the thing that it inspires me is if I get a female talent on, like we've had, it's name dropping here, guys. I'm sorry, okay, but we've had like Adina Steele on, we've had Gabby Ortiz, we've had Basic Becca, of course, we've had Gabby Gilbert. We've had Lane Rosario, who's now a referee down over in Florida. We've had Amber Rodriguez. Like we've had these lists of women, but we've also had our first international one, which by the time that this comes out, you guys will see Kiara, which coincidentally, that's how my daughter spells her name too. But I get all these women to like interact with her because obviously I want her to see like there's all these women that are in wrestling and they're like pushing this massive ball like forward and like just clearing a path for all future female wrestling talent that's gonna be coming through.
Absolutely, man. Yeah.
But we gotta get back into this, man, because we talk about games and stuff like that, and we know that we get to hit people with chairs and stuff like that. But I gotta know for you, what's been the worst bump you've taken?
The worst bump. I think so. When I was starting out in wrestling school, we were about like 2 months in, maybe month and a half in, and that's when we learned front bumps, just face bumps. And we had Red Dog in our school, I think 15 guys at this point. So we have our first week of face bumps, and by the end of that week, Red Dog, we had 6 guys left in the school.
You know?
Yep. So a lot of people like quit after that week of face bumps. And the first week I had a nice shiner right here because when you take it, you want to keep your head tilted this way and you want to tense your neck up. But it was brand new and just my body not being used to it. My face actually kept smacking the mat. So I had a nice shiner on my face for a week. And like I said, like 3/4 of the school bounced. And but yeah, it was that week stuff, definitely stuck out to me in my training.
It's interesting you talk about the dropout rate. I'm just curious, like in the first week, do you remember how many kids you started with?
What's that again?
I
Sorry,
said in the, I'm sorry, but in the first week of school. So it's interesting that you mentioned that like the dropout rate with face pumps. So in the first week, like how many kids dropped out of your class?
like I said, I think it was 15 guys when we started face bumps,
Mm.
and these 15 guys, like they were sticking through the chain wrestling for a couple of weeks, stuck through a couple, most of them stuck through the back bumps, It was maybe like 17 or 18 when we first started. A few dropped out after the back bumps, and then after face bumps, we went from about 15 kids to 6 kids. So,
That I was gonna say, I had a similar situation where the first week I showed up, I had 9 kids, right? Cool. Get to learn with all these guys.
okay. Yeah.
After that, we had 30 kids join the next week. So it was like 34 people were in this class. After bumping, there was me.
Whoa.
That was it.
Lone soldier.
Yeah. I just came back the
Wow.
next week and I was just like, where's everybody at? They're like, I don't know. I was like, okay, let's go.
Wow, man. Very interesting. So I don't mean to be to flip the role of interviewer here, but like for you, someone who's been in the military, what are the similarities between military training and wrestling training?
It's about the structure. Like really, if you have like a good system and everything's like structured and on point, like things just happen in routine. You're not really you got to make sure mentally you're strong. That's like one thing. Like in the military, like when you go through basic training, like they tell you right off the jump, we're gonna break you down. We're gonna build you up in the way that the military needs you, and it's like that. It's like that in wrestling too. Like you're gonna get broken down, but they're gonna build you back up, and they're gonna teach you like all the things that you need to know, right? And they're gonna give you all the proper techniques to learn how to do it, right? So you were talking about face bumps, where you have the hand, right? Where like I was taught like to use a diamond, like to catch yourself in a diamond.
Ah, okay.
So like you're always constantly learning, but then you're always like picking up like new things, and then
Yep.
you have to go out and mentally you just got to prepare yourself mentally for every day that you're going into training. So it's like that in the military. Like you have to prepare yourself for the next battle or the next mission. So it's just something that just I don't know. For me, it never felt like it was too I don't know, it was weird. It just never felt like it was ever too much. Like I kind of knew like what I was gonna get into. Like, yeah, I'm gonna learn how to take bumps and I'm
Yeah, yeah,
gonna
yeah.
get beat up, but I'm gonna keep coming. And that's the one thing too, is my trainer will tell you like the one thing about me is just like I'm tenacious. Like I just will just keep coming. Like no matter what happens, I just keep knocking at the door. And he's just like, dude, sometimes you're just really annoying, but you just like inspire me to want to keep pushing because you
Yeah.
keep pushing. So it's fun to see.
Clearly, bro, you were the most mentally prepared out
Yeah.
of that group. Clearly.
Well, like, so after that week, it was just me. Then the week after, I think it was like right into February, which, by the way, my training facility is outdoors. So, like, the
Mm,
cold could have played a factor into this, but I was already ready for whatever was going to come. So, come March, everything got shut down because of COVID. But then, like, when I came back in May, this new dude showed up with me and we were bumping, and he was former military too. Like, he was in the Air Force and just like me. So we were like, oh, okay, cool, we're gonna do this. And coincidentally, we were both the oldest. He's actually older than me, I think by 2 years. I think he's like 37. And I'm 30. Like I'm turning 35. I'm turning 36 years. I'm 35. But yeah. Then all of a sudden, like we started seeing more kids like start to come in and bump, but consistently it was just us two. But it was crazy for the longest time. And we had another dude who I remember another guy popped in, was talking about how he wanted it. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna do this for a career. Took a back bump off a drop kick, maybe my drop kick. Didn't see him again.
adios.
Yep.
Adios. Dust in the wind.
Yeah, and it is what it is. But yeah, me and Will, you'll hear about him, Will Knox. Well, fantastic. The fantastic Will Knox is tearing it up on the backside. So he's like up and down Tennessee like all the time. And he just debuted at SWC this last weekend. He's an animal too.
Very cool, man. Good stuff.
But so aside from learning face bumps, what's the hardest you've ever been hit?
Um, I so this was early in my career, like maybe my fifth or sixth, no, wait, my seventh match, somewhere around there. And my trainer, Randy Shawn, that was his name. That was his working name at the time. It's his real name too, but he was working as Randy Shawn for the small promotion in Massachusetts, Lucky Pro Wrestling. And he was running a gauntlet one night for his Hard Knocks title. And I was the second out in the gauntlet. And it was only going to be a minute match. I was going to hit him with a couple moves, then get distracted from his manager. He's going to low blow me and give me the super kick. And he works real good, real safe. He's my trainer. He's taught me everything. But this one night, I think maybe the excitement of working together on a show, he fucking laid that super kick right into my jaw. And my jaw was clicking for a good week. I get adrenaline was kicking, so I felt it, you know what I'm saying? But it didn't round my cage or anything. But then like an hour after the show, that and adrenaline starts to wear off. I'm like, oh shit. And then my jaw was like clicking for a week. So
Damn, that's
I'm
wild.
blessed, man. Like that's really not bad in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, that was definitely a nice kick to the jaw that I felt it.
It's funny how you talk about like the excitement too. Like you feel like you have to like that's the other part too, right? Is that like with the military, like you were asking about this, and I just thought about this, like you got to keep composed, right? Like you
Yeah.
have to keep composed. Like you might remember, like you're still in character, like you're still, and in the military, like that's something they tell you, like you always got to keep your composure, which is what basic training is all about, right? Where you get to prototype movie guys, like they're in your face, they're like yelling, like knife hands at your face all day, like telling you what's going on, and just berating you, and you got to keep composure. And so, like to me, like that's something that like Chaz and I, like we train together, and Chaz will punch me in the face, and I have to remember, like, this is not a fight. This is what happens. Sometimes things happen, and like I've had my lips, like I had one split right down the center. I had one busted open in the middle of a match. In a practice match, I got like a good chunk inside of my lip got busted open from a super kick, and like guys were like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Hey man, it's gonna happen. Let's just go." They're like, "Okay." I'm just like,
Yeah. But obviously everyone wants to be as safe as possible.
yeah.
Yeah, there's things slip ups happen here and there.
Yeah, and this is why I love the sport though. I'm always like, I get something happen and someone's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Dude, it happens. We just gotta go. Let's just keep moving."
Yeah.
But you're bleeding. I don't care.
Yeah, if it really can help the match, it can help physicality factor. Sometimes it's good to have.
Yeah. All right. So you talked about how you had your jaw clicking for a week after your match, but I'm very curious because most wrestlers won't eat before a show or even like a few hours before the show, but they always have that post-match meal. And I'm very curious, man, what's your post-match meal?
Oh, dude, interesting question. I think even though it's great to have the carbs beforehand for the energy, it's important to have them after replenish. And I'm always craving like a nice hot bowl of pasta after a big show or a big workout. I love pasta, dude. So definitely some pasta in the mix and good protein, good meat. It could be any type. I mean, dude, I love meat, dude. I eat a lot of chicken, a lot of beef, a lot of pork. I just something hot, nice hot bowl of pasta with maybe we'll go classic chicken cutlets. How does that sound?
Sounds great.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
down for
hungry
that.
talking about it, man.
Yeah, I was actually the day we were recording this, we were doing spaghetti with chicken parmesan. So I'm like, yeah,
There you go.
I know exactly where we're at.
Feel great. I feel great eating that.
All right, well, that is being your post match meal. I'm very curious though, man. Like, what advice would you give to up and coming wrestlers?
I'll use the advice that my trainer Bully Ray gives out. Um, Shut up, listen, and get over. Those are the top three right there. So close your mouth, listen. Is this you talked about? You touched on it earlier. How much there is to digest and learn in this business, and there's so many different flavors of ice cream, so many different facets that go into professional wrestling that you can't learn in 1 year. It takes time. So you listen, digest everything. And at the end of the day, Red Dog, it's most important that you get over with the crowd, with the fans, whether you're a heel, whether you're a babyface, get over.
Facts. That's great advice. So then, we got to go to the last hard-hitting question before we go to the second best segment of the 3 Count podcast, and that is I need one do and one don't of the locker room.
Shake everyone's hand when you go in there. I know it's COVID times now, so maybe a fist bump or or what's up, but definitely acknowledge everyone. You know, we're all there because we love professional wrestling. We're all there. We're all different shapes and sizes and backgrounds and characters. We're all different, but we have the same passion. So, you know, respect other people's passion and respect your working environment. So that's my do. And the don't is I honestly, going back to the safety thing, don't be unsafe. You know, don't be unsafe. Because in the midst of everything that goes on at a show, you know, you're going over your match. You're thinking about the crowd. You're trying to react to the crowd. You got an entrance. You got your gear. You got everything that's going on into a performance. Sometimes the safety aspect gets pushed aside a little bit, but obviously that's number one, man. So don't be unsafe.
Right. That's great advice. That's great like to say too, because it's something else like I've started picking up too was if you don't think you can do it, don't do it.
Stick to what you're good at. Like
Yeah.
that's something that comes up in our training. You know, people obviously it's practice environment. You want to try a couple different moves. That's cool. But if you try something and it's so, try it again. It's still so, try it again. It's not clicking. You don't need to do it. We can control what we do in professional wrestling. Yes, it's a sport, but yes, we can control what goes on out there to a certain degree. So stick to what you're good at, stick to your strengths, and accentuate those positives.
Facts. Well, those are my hard-hitting questions. So we have to get into the second best segment of this show, which is the 3 Count podcast, 10 count questions. This is how it works. I'm going to fire off 10 questions at you, rapid fast. It's whatever first comes to mind.
All right.
So we're going to put on the imaginary timer. Bing! And here we go. SmackDown or Raw?
SmackDown.
Favorite Premier League team?
Aston Villa.
Okay. We're going to have to fight. Favorite Friday night, what you doing?
Friday night, hopping on some PlayStation.
Okay. Favorite movie?
Scent of a Woman, Al Pacino.
Right on. Sonic or Mario?
Mario.
Favorite cartoon?
Regular Show.
Guess.
There you go.
Lions or Tigers?
Lions.
Favorite podcast?
Oh man. Favorite podcast. I'm listening to one called Football Ramble a lot lately. Football Ramble. It's about soccer. So English guys just having a good time.
Yes.
Talking about the game. Talking about the beautiful game. Loving
it. Nominate one person that you want to see on this show.
Ooh. One person I want to see in the 3 count. We have some up and comers at the new school. There's one who just got his wings, just got blessed to have matches. He's been working real hard over I think 2 years now, and he finally got the green light to have matches. And his name is TKO Kosenko, and he's a good dude. He's an interesting dude. He has good social media following, good YouTube following, and so he loves professional wrestling. So he comes to mind right away. TKO Kosenko.
Bet. And then last but not least, my favorite question to ask every single person who comes on this show, favorite curse word?
I love fucking A. I don't know where that originated, if it's Canada or what, but fucking A.
Fucking A.
I don't know where that originated, but when you say that, I love saying that. It doesn't sound right, but I love saying that.
I love it. All right. So the last thing I need from you, man, is just to let our viewers and our listeners know where they can find you.
So on Instagram, you can find me at Gio_Galvano. It's GIO_GALVANO. And on Twitter, you can find me at Gio_official, spell the official with a 0. and you'll find all that's up to date on the world of Gio Galvano.
Bet. There you go. And there's where you have it. And so with that being said, this is the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Entering the Ring. And as I said, I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, but it's never about me. It's about who's entering the ring. And so now entering the ring, you see him right there. He is the legend, the Soccer 11 player. Give it up for Gio Galvano. And you guys know what to do. Tune into the next episode and be there, or you just wait till the end of this episode, the outro, and then our next episode is going to play. Peace. What's going on, 3 Count Nation? I'm Clifford Red Dog Miller with the catchphrase. But what I really want to do right now, go to twitter.com, right? Go over there, find us at the 3count_pod, give us a follow, give us a like, give us a comment. We want to talk to you guys. Go to IG at the 3 Count Pod. Give us a like, give us a follow, leave us a comment. We want to interact with you. Go to youtube.com, give subscribe, turn the bell on, turn the notifications, leave a comment. We want to talk to you. Go to anchor.fm/the 3 Count Podcast, and in there, you can leave us a message, and we will talk to you. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is that we want to talk to you. We want to have fun with you guys, and we love listening to what you guys have to say. Also, one thing I need you to do for me, the 3 Count Podcast also has merchandise. At prowrestlingtees.com/the 3 Count Pod. Please go buy our t-shirts. We love you guys, and we hope you love us too. So show us some support, please.